Contrary to popular belief, what's not a bad thing? Being single, and being okay with being single, and not constantly looking for a relationship. Curious children. That's like the best thing for a child to be, because they want to learn the facts and form their own opinions. But parents act as if they are like inappropriate or annoying. Not being into social media doesn't mean you are behind the times. It's a choice. Edit. Thank you very much, kind strangers, for the upvotes and awards. The first time for me. Glad to know that so many of us deal with the pressures of either not being on certain social media platforms or using it as we see fit, with the strength of making our own decisions and not bowing down to preset norms. Disappointing your parents or friends by your life decisions. Usually, they come around in time when they see what you chose is what makes you happy, and that is what they really wanted in the end anyway. It can be an uncomfortable wait until that time comes, but it is shorter and feels better than a lifetime of regret. Breakups. Sometimes it's better to end things instead of trying to hold a failing relationship together. Edit. Thanks for all the great replies to my simple comment, as well as the awards. I got broken up with by my first real GF on New Year's, and all these comments have helped me see that life will move on, and I'm not alone. May we all have better luck this year. Putting your own happiness before the expectations of your family. Edit. I'm going to clarify that I meant more along the line that you shouldn't allow the expectations from family members like parents / grandparents / uncles / aunts etc to get in the way of what makes you happy. I kept the comment more open-ended, since situations can differ wildly and different people can have different reasons for feeling this way, so I didn't want to be too specific. I searched through and didn't see this one, so sorry if it's already included. But not going to college is not a bad thing. I say this with some level of authority on the matter, as I'm a college professor, full-time, tenured, over a decade into the game. I have seen hundreds of students go to college who have no interest in learning. They go because they are told they have to in order to secure personal success and financial stability. So many of these students fail classes, destroy their GPA, don't graduate, take out a ton of loans, etc. There are so many people with college degrees working in food service, retail, hospitality, etc. And none of them really needed a college degree at all. Yet they have one. They paid a ton for it, and now have to pay all those loans back for something they aren't using. And I get it. No time learning is time wasted. I truly believe that. But you don't need to be in college to learn. If you major in physics, but refuse to leave your town of 20,000 people and have no interest in teaching, it doesn't matter if you got a 4.0. You'll be working slinging pizzas regardless. Edit. Thanks for all the awards, everyone. I had a really bad day and that has made me smile a bit. I'm a big believer in trade schools and voteches for this. Even if you just do it for a few years while you work your way through college or work on figuring out what you want to be, that's fine. So many schools / school counselors / teachers told us that we were second-hand citizens if we didn't get our degree, that we wouldn't find good jobs, that life would suck. So I got the degree, worked in it for 4 years, hated it and quit, started working in the trades, figured out what I do like and make more now than I ever have. I've heard a bunch of people spouting off recycling isn't worth it. It is even worse for the environment than just throwing it away. Apostrophe. This is case of hearing something correct and just blanket applying it to everything. There are certain things that are undeniably better to recycle, specifically metals and 4GL, but on paper there are ways to make it environmentally positive. Plastics are the hardest due to contamination, but we can make it better as well as reduce single-use plastics. Yes, corporations tricked us into believing recycling was the key to fixing the environment, but that doesn't mean that recycling can't be useful. Using a credit card, if you're sensible and ensure it's paid off at the end of every month, there are many perks: cashback, air miles etc. Contentment. I not only don't need an exciting life, I actively don't want one. One of my friends loves to travel and do crazy poop scuba diving, swimming with sharks, going on days long backpacking trips. Not at all for me. She cannot fathom the fact I don't care for travel. Edit. A lot of people are homing in on the travel thing. I'm really just using that as an example of living excitingly. I truly just mean anything that gives off a rush. Not for me. The stigma behind talking about your pay with fellow coworkers. In the States it is legal. By talking about your wages you help ensure you and co-workers are being paid fairly. Edit. I made an oopsie. I think it was understood, but what I mean is, you should talk about your wages. At my old job, a manager for another site who was visiting my location tried to scold me for asking my coworker how much she makes when she made a comment about not getting paid enough. He said it's illegal and super inappropriate. We were teenagers working at a car wash. Literally nobody would care if we discussed our pay. And it's actually, from what I've heard, illegal to try to prevent people from talking about their pay in the US. Yep. Lots of mangas don't seem to understand basic employment laws. My current manager tried pulling the "you're not allowed to talk about pay," so I took her back to our break room and showed her the poster that specifically says it is illegal for an employer to dissuade employees from discussing wages. So she switched to saying that it makes things a hostile working environment. Of course I make it a point to discuss my wages with anyone willing, and she hasn't said anything since. I'm just always surprised how mangas can completely miss these legal posters that they themselves put up. Breaking tradition. It's important to question why we do things and not just go along with it because it's been like that for years. Being frugal, to a point. I think being able to control spending habits, save money, and being able to assess what items are necessary vs excessive in one's life is often overlooked in a consumerist society. Until this year, I was using my iPhone 4 happily. Friends and family would constantly make jokes about my ancient phone and how I'm just too cheap to buy a new one. The truth was that it was still working fine and fulfilling all the needs I had for a phone. So why spend money to replace something that is still working? Note, I'm not advocating for the extremes of this like my previous roommate who refused to turn on our account or heating. It once read 51 degrees F on our thermostat during December. Death isn't always a bad thing. There's a lot of people who suffer with degenerative illnesses or are in extreme pain every day of their lives. I saw this happen to my granddad after he had a brain tumor. By the end it was for the best that he passed away. Obviously untimely deaths are sad, but sometimes you need to accept that being alive and truly living are two different things. According to someone close to me, not having an opinion about something important to them is being rude and inconsiderate. I just think that I don't care about what they care about. It isn't important or offensive to me, so I don't care about it one bit. I'm not sure how to categorize this, but this bugs me about people. My husband and I have talked about this several times. We like to get each other's opinions on things and sometimes we don't have one because the topic or subject doesn't have any weight, impact, bearing or whatever on the comfort or discomfort or morals of our life. It's like selecting a bottle of water. Take 2 bottles, same bottle type, same amount of water, same price, no difference in taste. Does it really matter which one you get? Small boobs or medium boobs? Literally no boobs are bad. Are you ashamed of your small boobs? Don't be. Are you a man ashamed of his man boobs? Don't be. Are you ashamed of someone else's boobs? Knock it off. Boobs are great. Boobs make the world go round. Not wanting to have kids. Introducing an entire human life into the world where it heavily depends on you physically, emotionally, and financially for over a decade is a huge deal that people should absolutely put a lot of thought into. Yet many people do it simply because that's just what you do, and babies are cute. And then they're constantly complaining about how it's suddenly hard being a parent. Parenthood isn't for everyone. It's a huge decision. People should treat it as such instead of acting like it's a trend. I wish society would quit looking down on those who choose to live a more quiet and stable life instead. My daughter doesn't want kids. I support her decision 100% and I will never understand parents who try to convince or bully their children to give them grandchildren. That is not a right you have just because you raised a child to adulthood. Your child is a person in their own right with their own hopes and dreams. Being a virgin. Just because nobody has shoved themselves inside you, or you haven't shoved yourself inside someone else, doesn't mean you're worth any less as a person. Not being close with family. My family have done nothing wrong. They're good. Generally non-toxic people. I quite like them for the most part. But I hate the idea of being obligated to family. Giving up my time to go to a cousin's birthday that I haven't seen for years. Or helping a distant relative move house. BAKUSET heart is W hearty family SDO. The blood that runs through me means nothing to me. Settling. I put in quotes because it has such a negative connotation. But I went through a very rough divorce and it took me a bit to find someone who felt like they could be a life partner again. Because he's jobless and has no higher education degrees, though. Friends have accused me of settling for him. Well, yeah, I am. I'm settling for contentment and happiness. Why is that bad? Someone else might make you happier. Fulfill your needs better. Apostrophe. Maybe. But like, I'm happy where I'm at. Why would I tear all that up? Because something could be. Grown men caring about kids. Want to continue to keep the burden of childrearing on women? Keep telling men they are creepy for taking their kids to the park or babysitting their nephews/nieces. Sleeping during the day and staying up all night. Some people are more comfortable being up at night and sleeping during the day like myself. I used to work a few overpass jobs and it's disheartening how many people still look down on those who don't wake up at the crack of dawn and go to bed in the evening. Sticking by your friends and family even when they make mistakes. Relationship advice on Reddit almost always tells you to cut off ties with family, get a divorce, or disown your children. It's just not realistic when you can actually work together to strengthen your relationship. Edit. Obviously I do not mean this as a hard and fast rule. Some people deserve to be cut off for being horrible people or doing horrible things. I just think that it shouldn't be the default action for all problems. Marriage. Popular culture has made negative jokes about marriage for years and years. Always joking about it being a prison. The people writing and originally receiving those jokes knew they were jokes. But eventually it started becoming less of a joke for so many. I get that marriage itself isn't innately good, but it can be such an amazing thing when with the right person. Marriage itself has both sides of this crap. If people choose not to get married, it's a big deal and people will question if you really love each other that much. But then those same people can get married later, and then it's all the old ball and chain. The only thing that literally matters is the couple are happy, but people can't leave it at that. Choosing an unmarried/unpartnered life. I truly believe that being in a long-term relationship where you have to live together for life just isn't for everybody. For some, it's better to have a series of long relationships or shorter ones. There are people who want to live together, and some who don't. A life without romance and/or sex is just fine for some people. Too. It's true that life alone can be harder, and the way the world is made up, it's mostly so two people can share the load. So you need to be creative or just live with it. As to having children, there are so many ways to be a parent these days. Just being in a single 2-parent unit isn't the only option anymore. You can have a kid on your own or with other people, but not be married to them or even live with them. And you don't have to have 1 or 2 parent families. For some, opting out of the lifelong love rumored path will mean giving up the joy of children and grandchildren. But if they are willing to give that up for the life that fits them better, they shouldn't be shamed for it or feel they need to turn into someone who isn't a child. I'd love to have had children, but it just didn't fit into my lifestyle. Should be just as acceptable an answer as I would have loved to have had a jet-setting career, but I chose to focus on having a family instead. Apostrophe. Being without a large group of friends and acquaintances. For some people, having a wide social circle is great, but I think a lot of people end up preferring quality over quantity. As you get older, you have less time and, more importantly, less patience for more superficial social things and prefer quality time with people you love and trust. When it comes time to have a really big rager of a party, it can be hard to scrape up enough people to fill it. But this is really the only downside I can think of for most people. Yep. By the time I was 13, my friend circle had whittled down to just a couple distant friends that I rarely saw. Kids, husband, family, work took up most my time anyway. But then I decided to actively work on making new friends. I was successful. I've got quite a few friends now, and some really close ones at that. But now I have so much more drama in my life. The pandemic has actually given me a nice respite from all the social pressures. Having sexual desires. For crying out loud, Fred Rogers has had 6 twists. If Fred Rogers has done it, then it's okay for you to do it. Relaxing. We have become a culture that seems to need stimulation 24/7. I know I have become one, and I really need to just relax, and it's hard. Not having sex, not being interested in sex. Taxes. They pay for schools, the fire department, the FDA, and EPA. Yes, there are many ways taxes can be managed better. However, paying for these services we all use, whether we know it or not, keeps our society running. Canceling plans with friends if you just don't have the energy to do so. Going out to eat by yourself. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.